Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Diane and my passion is painting and creating nature-inspired watercolours in my studio, which are easy for you to do too. I share all my paintings with you on YouTube, and on our website dianeantone.com you can find free downloadable sketches for all the videos to help you make the most of your painting journey. And if you'd like a little bit more, we also have channel memberships with loads of perks for you to enjoy. So welcome on board. Click subscribe and turn on notifications, and let's learn to paint watercolour. Hi everyone, Diane here, welcome to my studio. Today I am going to paint something colourful. It's spring, we've got lots of daffodils and things like that all over the place. Here is a daffodil from the garden. And you know what? I don't want the stress of trying to create a replica of something that's growing so happily in the garden. I just think it's nice to try to capture the colours of spring. That's what I'm kind of thinking. So I'm using my Kuretake set here, and I'm not feeling like painting is going to go my way today. So I am going to just splash around a little bit and keep my fingers crossed. I watched a video of another artist the other day, and she was literally smashing paint onto the paper because she was in a bad mood, she said, and then she found that she created something really beautiful. And I think that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because when we don't try, that's when things happen sometimes, not always, for the best. And I find often if I stop thinking and start to paint and maybe just let my mouth go, I talk and I say stupid things quite often. Sometimes I might say something mildly interesting, but I doubt it. Most of the time, most of the ones we listen to on YouTube, they're talking rubbish like me. Nothing wrong with talking rubbish. I mean, what isn't rubbish? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just splashing around and behaving in a kind of random sort of way. And we'll see what happens. And it will be a relaxing, if not rewarding, session, and we will end up with something colourful that reminds us of spring. Will we? I don't know. The tulips haven't come out yet, but the daffodils have. I'm using a Craftimo brush, my larger one here, the 14, and I'm just more or less randomly picking up colours on the Kuretake palette and just painting splodges. I can see that this probably is going to turn into one of those paintings where I want to put line work on it at the end to sharpen up the shapes and things, but we'll see. We're not going to make any assumptions here. I'm just going to paint. Oh, that's brownish. That's interesting. Adding brown to that pink makes quite a nice, rusty colour. Look at that. And we can put a dark, what could we put in the middle? Something, more dark, more of the dark, I suppose. And it's a good way to experiment with colour. You never know what you're going to do you? Why do we paint? Why do we paint? We paint to relax. Is there anything relaxing about trying to create a perfect daffodil? No. Daffodils are my, what is it? Nemesis? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I can never remember. Anyway, I always feel I've failed because they always seem so static. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just putting a bit of splodge there, and I'm going to put some green in too. I don't know what this is going to turn into, probably a mess. You just have to follow your heart, It's windy again today. Don't use too many colours. It's probably not a good idea to use too many colours. So I've kind of picked a couple of yellows, a couple of reds, and a green and a brown. And I'm going to sort of more or less repeat those. I'm not sure if I'm going to put blue in. Blue is always a bit of a challenge. So I'm kind of painting around a little bit at the moment. But we're obviously going to have to fill something in down here. What should we put down there? Don't think too hard. Don't think, don't pause, don't stop. Use the brush in different ways, like I'm just pressing down a bit harder for this one, because there's a tendency, isn't there, always to sort of just do this. Well, you can do that too. That gives you good petals as well. But sometimes it's a good idea to press down harder. And it's quite nice when the paint runs out like that. Don't know what this is. It doesn't look quite right, does it? Anyway. Sometimes the bits that don't look quite right at some point later on, you think, oh yes, that worked. I'm just going to put some really loose green in there and let that run, see what happens. I think I want more yellow. I'm going to put more yellow in down here. One of the problems with this Kuretake yellow is I think it's very greenish. And always put that in, and then I think, no, I need to add some orange to that. There are days, you know, there are days, aren't there? There are definitely days when you can't do anything. And so if you have to, then you're going to have to just keep going. All right, I'm going to branch into the green, dark green now, which means I have to mix brown with green to give me a dark green that isn't, you know, it's sort of olive green we want. I'm going to put some nice little leaves. I can't do them left-handed anymore. Not left-handed, I mean from left to right. It's wonderful when you start to put these in. This is when things get interesting, more exciting. And the dark green just throws everything into relief. We got our annual summary of the year, what's been happening in the town where I live, the village or whatever you want to call it. It's called Puloen. And once a year they send out this publication, which on the front page every year they have the babies that have been born, the photos of the babies. And every year up until this year, there's been, well, it's been ever decreasing numbers, but every year up until this year, there have been, I would say, double digits of babies. Going back to when we first came here, the 20, 25 babies, all their photos on the back of the publication, with their names and everything. This year, 4. I say no more. And this year, for the first time ever, for me, in the births and deaths, so there's 4 births and a lot of deaths, 3 of whom I actually personally knew, and that has never happened to me before. Yeah. This town is, you know, on its way out. It's so sad. But only 4 babies born last year in this village. I just can't believe it. So we just keep on building this up, and we can put a bit more green in here. Don't worry about going over the edges of your flowers. They don't mind. Just keep changing the colours. I think I've mentioned it before. One of the best pieces of advice I ever had from another painter was, when you refill your brush, always change the colour. Just a little bit. Doesn't have to be completely different. I haven't used any blue here, and I'm not going to. But I am going to use lots of really dark green, which is a mixture of a forest green, or forest gump green, and raw umber. And I'm going to drop that green in all over the place. And we're going to let it run and just sort of build up. Yeah. And let's put some pinkish in the background up here. If you've got kind of green down here, you might want to think about putting pink up on the other side as a contrast. And then somewhere in the middle, it'll sort of blend into the two. I suppose you could call this an abstract, but I think it's probably more intuitive rather than abstract, really. Intuitive in the sense of you intuitively choose the colours. You don't think too hard about it. In some places, you'll want a real strong contrast, like between the pink and the green. Other parts, you might want to have a bit more analogous, so different shades of yellow and orange. And often you might want that in the middle, near the middle of the painting. And we can go back to pinkish up here. some dark centers into the middles of some of these. And we can also consider coming back later when it's all dry and lightening. So putting dots and, you know, bits and pieces of white and stuff. Bit more green up here, perhaps. I know this kind of style of painting doesn't suit everybody, but even if it's not really your favourite style, sometimes it's a good idea to just give it a try, or on those days like for me today, where I have these days a lot because there's always so many other things to think about. When I don't know what to paint, basically. And I think all of us who do YouTube, we all have those days fairly often. Now, that's not finished, but I'm going to dry it with a hairdryer and then see what I want to do next. It might be line work, it might be more brush work. Okay, so this is dry, and I think I'm going to just pick up a slightly more intense version of the different colours of the different flowers and partially paint the petals to give them a bit more dimensionality in certain places where it's a little bit on the darker side, to just you know, add a bit more interest. I think this one up here could have another layer. And then we've got a brown down here. And yellow and orange. So where it's, you know, just pick out the colour where it's darker, just go over it a bit more to make it a bit darker. And don't forget that it will, of course, always dry lighter. So we'll let it do that. And I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm not sure what to do now. I want to improve the leaves. And I'm very tempted, because I like doing it, to come in with the pen, but I feel as if I want actually to make this into a painting rather than a pen and ink. So let's mix up some very dark green. This is just forest green and black. And I think I want a smaller brush. It's going to drop too much paint. Let's try this one. It's more of a rigger. It's a size 4 craft and oops. I'm not happy with that. I don't know. We can only keep going. Not happy with this either. Nope. This isn't going to work. No, that pen is not going to work. Okay, I'm not quite sure what to do now. I think I'm going to try adding some black. Using a brush. This is a Drawwell brush. And I'm not quite sure. I really am not quite sure. I think I need more line. And you know how it is, sometimes you just don't know quite where to put it. And this is what I've done, is I have created myself a bit of a puzzle. Because I feel as if I need more contrast, but I don't want to add too much contrast because I think it will make it too dark. So, you know, what do you do? This is where you realize that intuitive painting is not always easy because your intuition has gone on holiday. But let's keep going. And let's not be afraid. Oops. Let's not be afraid. Making the wrong decision. It's all very well, you know, for me to say it's only a piece of paper, but for me it's not just a piece of paper because of course it's a video as well. So you can only keep on making mistakes for a certain amount of time before you have to say, Sometimes I think it's the weather. Yeah, we blame the weather. I don't know what it is. A lack of inspiration, lack of control, lack of brush control. Lack of paint. So what I've finally done is realised that what I needed to do was to put a really dark leaf next to all of the light ones and make that into the outline, sort of not going over the same leaf, but giving it a friend to live beside it. I think that's probably the way I want to describe it. I love that dark contrast. as we're adding this, keeping away from the bright colours, letting them continue to exist, putting these really dark leaves on top of some of the areas that were perhaps less well formed. And they will hopefully allow the flowers to blossom. Don't like those dots. Get rid of them. And another little one here. Try not to get stuck with one idea only, which is easily done. Try and put some stalks in to connect these leaves to things. Being as careful as possible not to obscure what light there is in this painting. Sometimes a few lines help with movement. Okay, I think we're getting to the end. And I'm going to let that dry. Oh, we've got one here that I've missed. There are definitely days when your brush just doesn't behave, it seems to me, the way you expect it to, and that's really strange. There we are. Okay, that's finished. Now we just need to dry it. Whoops. And see whether, well, when I say finished, it probably needs more work, but I'm going to dry it and probably go and have a cup of tea. Okay, so I have dried that and I am going to come back in with my gold gel pen and I'm just going to put a few veins into some of these leaves to give them some shape because they are very flat and black and they're doing their job, which was to cast everything else into relief, but they do look a bit empty, so I'm going to perhaps put some gold rather than the white. I think the gold looks better than the white did. And we'll just do that. Give our leaves some gold veins. That one's probably empty. That's better. I wasn't sure if that was going to work, but I think it probably has. And you could also, you could do some scribblies. Do some scribblies. And we could put some smaller veins as well as the center ones in some of them. Like that. It's much more lively like this. You have to be brave, that's the thing. And some days you just aren't, are you? It's a bit like the days when you're going to go to the dentist and you say, I need to be brave. Just have fun. You never know how it's going to turn out. Anyway, I am going to definitely stop now. I've put enough veins, enough gold. If you enjoyed this, she said, don't forget to like and subscribe, turn on notifications, and maybe consider joining Patreon. A lot more people have recently joined, and we do appreciate your support very much because we need it. And from $3 a month, you can give us some much needed support, which we really appreciate. We've got over 900 videos on YouTube now. So there's something for everyone, if you can find it. Sometimes I wonder whether there are too many, but we're not going to take any of them down. So, you know, we've got all these playlists as well, so you can have a look on the playlists and find different topics that interest you. And of course, we have our daily challenge, which runs all the time. Each month there's a new subject. This month is flowers of the world. I'm learning quite a lot about different flowers of the world. I haven't really thought about it before. Okay, so now this is starting to actually be completed. And for some reason, when you put more work into the leaves, the flowers stand out more. I'm not quite sure why that is. I'd have thought the opposite would have happened, but I'm feeling that the flowers are becoming more floral as I'm putting these gold lines into the dark green leaves. It's interesting, isn't it? You see what I mean? Okay, but I'm going to stop there now because I've run out of time. So hope you enjoyed that. I'll let you go and I'll see you again soon, everybody. Bye for now. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.